Okay, this video is going to be about the steps you can take to fix a broken game, a game that is breaking, or a game that has elements of it that are broken. Now, when you're talking about a broken game, the three most obvious reasons for a broken game are going to be staff burnout, um, stagnant storylines, and player angst. Now, a lot of it comes down to what kind of staff hierarchy you have. The two that seem to work the best are the dictatorial staff hierarchy, which means there's one person in charge, and everybody below them are kind of like their minions. The elected forum is the other version, which basically means you get elected as storyteller, and you serve a term and then try for re-election. Well, when you get staff burnout, that means the head storyteller or assistant storytellers or narrators, whatever you may call them, somebody is just burnt out. They're done. They become a non-entity when it comes to usefulness, and they become a cancer to the game. Not maliciously, but it happens. Now, if a head storyteller burns out, really the only thing you do is replace them. It's true. Um, if it's a dictatorial game, that's where it gets difficult because a head storyteller being replaced can destroy the game. Or you have the elected form where basically you just vote them out. Or you do, if it's really bad, you do a vote of no confidence. Now, if it's just assistant storytellers, narrators, judges, marshals, whatever you may call them, that are burnt out, that's a little easier to take care of because the head storyteller should have a grasp on that and should be able to take them to the side and say, hey, here's the situation. Maybe it's time for you to step back and play a character for a while and recharge your batteries. Now, if it's done right, most narrators will realize that and they'll kind of back off and go, you're right, and they'll step away. Some won't, though. Either they don't want to give up the power, they're paranoid that if they go back to playing, the players are going to prosecute them because now they're not in a position of power. Um, they don't feel like anybody else is ready to replace them, and therefore the game needs them. Regardless of what the arguments are, when it becomes clear that that's the situation, if they don't want to step aside willingly, you have to push them aside. If you do not, your game will suffer. Better to take a hit to your friendship that a few beers and an apology will fix later than to destroy your game and basically not be able to revive it. Okay. If your storylines have become stagnant, there's only a few things you can really do. First off is see why. Okay, the players obviously are not rising to the occasion. First thing you do is, okay, make use of Facebook or whatever, create a few polls. See what storylines they want to see. And I'm not talking about details, but do they want to see storylines involving other supernaturals, groups like Titan? What do they want to see? I mean, not Titan. Jesus Christ, I've been using Titan for so long, I forgot about Pentex. I meant Pentex. um, what do they want to see? Okay, it'll give you a little bit of an idea, and you can start writing stuff based off it. Otherwise, take the stories that you're doing, and at the end of it, maybe have players submit player reviews on what they thought about the story and where they saw flaws or what didn't make sense to them. Other thing you can do is basically bring new staff members on and play with their new ideas. See what ideas they come up with, work them in, and see how well the players rise to them. If none of these work and you can't come up with new storylines, then perhaps you're at a burnout stage, and perhaps it's time for somebody with new ideas to take over, because maybe there are new ideas that were submitted to you that you just ignored because you thought they'd be stupid. You didn't think they would work. Well, maybe that's what the players want to work. When it comes to player angst, now when I say player angst, that means players aren't getting along, and therefore they're bringing the game down with them with their angst. If you don't have a drama stops at the door policy, you're going to have issues with this. If you have a drama stops at the door policy, then the staff basically can drop the hammer on anybody who is not adhering to it. I don't care if you think that guy stole your best friend's girlfriend. I don't care. We're a game. We're about being werewolves. I don't care if you think that person owes you money for rent when they were your roommate. If it's that much of an issue, one of you doesn't need to be there. You could, you guys can decide. And if you both can't decide, maybe both of you should be away. When it comes to that, the staff has to have very strict rulings on that. They have to come, they have to have their systems in place to deal with it. They have to be very strict in their rulings. They can't give in. And if there is any kind of negotiations, whatever, there can't be any deviance from one player to another. If you're going to make a ruling for one player, you need to make that same ruling for every player. Otherwise, it looks like nepotism, and that's a surefire way to start degrading the faith the players put in you as a staff. Now, when you have broken elements, they fall into a few categories. A lot of times it happens with your rules. Can happen in one of four ways. Either A, your house rules, your rules interpretations and such aren't clear, aren't available, or don't match the books well enough to make sense. That you have to make that cut and dry clear. You need to have house rules. They need to be available, and they need to be very clear as to what they replace and how they interact with everything else. Now, sometimes you'll get people who consistently screw up rules for various reasons. Perhaps they're a cross gamer. They play in other LARPs, and those other LARPs have their rules, and they consistently come to your LARP and try to use those rules. You know what? They're in this game. They're in your game. They need to follow by your rules. They need to walk into your game prepared to follow your rules. They need to erase those other rules from their head when they come into your game. You cannot be lenient with them over it. You cannot give them the benefit of the doubt. And if they're going to consistently do so, you have to allow their mistakes to stand. If they make a mistake and do something that they wouldn't have done if they would have realized what rules they were playing under, that's not on you. That's on them. They made that mistake. If they I'm sorry. I don't care. If you're in a trade, and like if you're an electrician and you go to a power generator and don't check to see if it's off and get somebody electrocuted, people aren't going to go, oh, you thought it was off because it was off of the other building. Why should it carry over into a LARP? Then you get your metagamers. Okay, they're going to try to bend your rules in every case anyway. Well, simply put, let them try to bend it. Every time they bend a rule or find a loophole, fix it. It makes your rules more solid in the future. If they do so inappropriately and don't find a true loophole and just try to invent one, but it doesn't really exist, come down on them. Let them suffer the action. Suffer the consequences of their actions. It's the best thing you can do for them. The other way is when you have new staff. A lot of times when you have a new staff member, you have certain players who are going to try to rape that staff member. They're going to try to make them screw up. They're going to try to get what they can out of them. Those are the ones you have to be the least lenient with. You need to make them suffer to show them. Let the new staff members come into their own. Don't basically sit there and try to throw them into the deep end with 30-pound blocks of granite hanging from their feet, because all you're going to do is shoot down their confidence, and they're not going to become a valued member of your staff anytime soon. Character stagnation can be another broken element of a game. What does this mean? Usually it happens with more powerful characters. They hit a ceiling. They haven't found a way to advance their character. They don't want to let go of what little power they have. They don't want to risk their characters. These are the ones that they're playing runes, but they won't go into the front of battle. They're playing, Philodox and such that are going to gather all the information and not tell anybody. Theurges that will never teach anybody anything. What do you do when you have character stagnation? Well, there's a few steps you can do. First thing you do is you start making it clear. Use the rules to your advantage. Use the renowned rules to your advantage. Why are start pointing out to the people below them? Why are they not in the front? He has the most glory. This is a threat that's going to kill everybody if they're not careful. Why is he not pointing the spear? If that doesn't work, okay, you can sit down with the player and try to give them a new direction for their character. And if they've just hit a ceiling where they didn't know where to go, maybe this will help them. If they're not going to be at all pliable. They're going to continue to be a tumor on the ass of your game. You could always send them in Hirano, make them useless to everybody and to themselves, because they start to lose control of their characters to some degree. That tends to piss off metagamers. So if they're the stagnant ones, way to go. Or of course you can always just kill them. Kill them and put them at the bottom of the totem pole, so they're going to make new characters. And then if they become stagnant, who cares? Because you know what? You got the new blood coming up, and those people, maybe they won't stay stagnant. Maybe they're going to actually help the people below them because they saw what happened when they weren't helped. Then you have another broken element is lack of player stories. Now, what is a player story? These are what I call player-driven storylines. A lot of times they come off of player sheets, merits, flaws, backgrounds, and such. They're going to play off an element of that, or they're going to come to you and they're going to go, hey, I have a goal for my character. This is what I want to try to do. It'll have nothing to do with your main storyline. Now, a good storyteller is going to figure out a way to work it in, but not work it in a way where when the storyline's over, so is this goal of the person. How do you handle this? Okay, if you don't have players coming to you with it, you have a lack of creativity on their part. So you can basically needle them a little bit and provoke it. Best way to do it is assign a narrator. You give them a list of people's merits, flaws, and backgrounds that can be exploited in that fashion, and let them go at it. You know, when those people who have persistent parents see them show up, an enemy makes an appearance, a foe from the past, an insane ancestor spirit, whatever it may be, when they start to show up and make their presence felt, people feel like those stories are just for them. And people might actually start to create them or work off of those. Those are the people you want to reward. Reward the hell out of them, if that's the case. You know, if a player comes to you and they come up with this great little storyline for them, yeah, assign a narrator or staff member to run it. And when it's over with, reward them, because guess what? They just did something cool for your game. It makes it deeper. The other main element that you're going to see broken in a game is genre adherence. What does that mean? Well, there are certain elements of genre that have to be adhered to. Everybody playing in a Gru game should be half wolf, half man. You got to play both elements of it. They all are going to have an auspice. They need to adhere to their auspice. There are renown losses if you start acting outside your auspice. That doesn't mean I'm in a rune and I make a really quick judgment against somebody that I've acted outside my auspice. However, when I start judging everybody in goddamn sight, okay, I'm acting more like a Philodox than I am in a rune. It basically means I've done more judgments on people than I've gotten into physical fights against the worm. Also goes down to tribes. If I have 5 players playing a tribe, 3 or 4 of them should be somewhat stereotypical in some fashion. At least that many, if not all of them. I don't want to see a bunch of Get Fenris pacifists. I don't want to see a bunch of bloodthirsty children of Gaia. You know, I don't want to see a bunch of human-loving red talons. I don't want to see a bunch of, we believe that the meek should inherit the earth's silver fang. I don't want to see a bunch of shadow lords that are all about being your best confidant and never screwing you over. I don't want to see Octana and Wendigo that believe that the white man is the answer to all their problems. I want to see a lot of that hatred. This is what the game's about. You should be able to come in here and, Jesus Christ, all the hate we see in the world right now, you know what? Most of it doesn't come from gamers. You know why? Because we get it all out in game. We kind of burn ourselves out on hate in game because it's all it is a role play element. So we see the folly in real life of all this hatred and bigotry that's out there. Because if I can play a Get Fenris that is a chauvinistic, Aryan loving skinhead that's going to, it's going to hate you because you're black, you because you're a woman, you because you're just not Get Fenris. Hey, it's a great character to play as long as it doesn't carry over into real life. Because whoever I hated in game, I should be able to go have a drink with them afterwards. You got to have those stereotypes in game, otherwise it doesn't feel like the game. So, when you don't have them, what do? At that point, you have to wrench them back to reality. The easiest way to do this is use the rest of the world. Use NPCs, use spirits that are bringing messages from other seps. we've heard a rumor from the Jarl of the get offenders in the area has heard a rumor that all you get offenders here are weak. You're sorry fucks. What do you have to say about that? What are you going to do about that? Well, guess what? If they don't handle it, sooner or later some get offenders are going to come in here to teach them a lesson. That's where you want to be able to use the bigger batter, because there's always somebody bigger out there. There's always somebody badder than you. Use it. If you're a storyteller, use the hell out of it. The players want to, be basically like, fuck the elders. Then you have an elder come in who's basically going to do something really nasty to them. I'm going to rip you guys a new asshole. Oh, by the way, I'm taking that fucking clay from you. Oh, did I just break it? Okay, I'll take the renown loss for breaking a clave, but I can't let you hold it. Or I'm taking this clave because frankly you're just not worthy to hold it. So it's mine now. Play it up. It's part of the reason that I don't charge people for backgrounds anymore. After the character creation, they earn their backgrounds. But on the same token, I can take them from in a heartbeat. You could build up 30 fucking influences and I could take them in a day because you were stupid and didn't protect them. Same thing with a fetish. A fetish is considered a background. You could have eight freaking fetishes. I'm going to come along with a higher ranked character and go, you're not worthy. You can't protect those fetishes. You don't know how to use them properly. I'm going to take you to the challenge pit and I'm going to take them from you. Use all of these elements and you'll start to fix your game. Once your game starts feeling like genre again, your players will fall into line. And if your staff is doing the right job, you're going to have a very full, vibrant game that you're going to be regaling about for years to come. The stories will come up at every party you have, and everybody's going to be looking forward to the next game. I guess that's all I got to say at this point. I welcome feedback on this. I welcome questions. I would love to be able to answer some stuff. I don't get a whole lot of that, but bring it. I'm here. Ciao, Bella.